me to restart on my end too, so you don't have like an extra?
I just started recording now. I didn't record it on Zoom, so I wasn't recording the video. So it's fine.
Gotcha.
So now we're all good. It says it's recording. So here's
cool.
the hoping.
Good job, Mr. Host.
Yeah. I'm having a rough day. I don't know why. I'm sober, so maybe that's the issue. I should change that.
I'm unfortunately sober as well, so that makes two of us.
Yeah, well, at least I'm sober in paradise.
Yeah, I'm just still in my room as always.
Oh, sorry. At least you're in Texas. If you do go outside, it's not disgusting out.
And I did get my hair cut, so
I cut my own hair
anymore. And
somehow, with this nice dark lighting and it kind of flipped up, you can't tell I'm going horribly bald. But whatever. As long as my wife stays, I don't blame her if she leaves, though.
No, don't say that.
I wouldn't stay with her if she was bald. Like, you gotta get out of here. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you.
You're not helping your case much talking like that.
Oh, no. I don't help myself with anything ever, usually. I tend to dig my own grave, as they say. So anyway, watched 1917 with my wife, who's going to leave me, and she really liked it. She's actually a huge fan. Like, she was, the whole time she was like, oh, this is amazing. Oh my God. And when he
sounds like me.
I like this background. That's cool. I mean, I thought it was awesome. I didn't have any issues with the movie. It just, I have issues with the movie, but it's not like I dislike the movie in any way. It's just, I think that some of the times when something happened, it should, like, they showed gore when he's going over dead bodies and stuff, but they didn't show gore like when somebody got shot. It was like, why are you going to take the realism out of that? I mean, it wasn't that bad because it's not like they were lingering on it. It just felt like, why was there no blood there? But then, like, after he gets stabbed, he's bleeding out, or when he hits his head, his blood. I didn't expect that guy to die so early either, which didn't bother me per se. What upset me was kind of how they did it. I liked how he was scared and like the whole conversation. That was a really cool scene. But when he got stabbed by the fucking German guy that he helped to the plane, I've seen that happen in probably every war movie I've ever seen, especially with Germans. They always do it with like a Nazi, and then the guy Saving Private Ryan has this huge like arc that happens because of that. Like the same guy that they let go comes back later and basically kills all of them with his squad. It's like, literally the same thing has happened in multiple movies. Like, can you just fix that? Like, why couldn't they just they were in the houses? He could have like came out of the house and stabbed them, but they wanted the scene where the plane crashes. I mean, that could have happened like right after or right before. I don't know.
I agree that it was as soon as they helped him out of the plane.
I was like, oh, he's going to do something.
This is going to go wrong. Yeah. I will say that part was a little bit predictable.
And then even before that, when they had like the booby trap and he steps on I think the rat drops the bag on the wire and it blows up.
Yeah.
I found it weird that like he was just like, there's dust on me. And that was like all of his issues from it. Like, I don't know. It was an explosion.
Like,
and you were covered in bones. Brick. Yeah. I feel like you should probably be horribly, horribly injured. Plus, the whole time I was like, he's going to lose his hand when he cut his hand on the barbed wire and then he sunk into a dead body with it. I was like, you're going to lose your hand. You're probably going to die anyway. Things like that bother me because the movie obviously was going to be over the top and not super realistic, being as they want it's a movie, so they have to show things blowing up or whatever. But it got to a point a few times where I was just totally taken out of it by like, yeah, this is so not realistic. And then that long conversation with the French girl, I was like, is this going to end?
Really? I thought that scene was awesome.
I thought it was a good scene. I felt like he was just running from a guy, and he's like 10 feet from where he almost died. He's like, I just have a whole conversation for like 20 minutes. I have to be somewhere. I'm super dedicated to it, but I'm going to hang out here for like 20, 30 minutes.
I think he's like coming off an incredible adrenaline rush, and he's just like, his body is like collapsing, and then he hears the bell ringing, and he like gets back at it. But
I understand. For me, I'm just saying,
like an emotional rest, like an off. I don't know. I thought it was paced beautifully. I thought it was a really
I thought it
nice
was paced
little.
fine. I just thought it was weird. They kept talking to her, and then I thought maybe, although at the end you find out he is married with a kid. I thought maybe he'd go back for her or something, or like maybe you'd see the French girl. Like, I don't know. I thought there'd be some sort of like kind of callback to the beginning of the movie to make it more of like a full circle as opposed to a linear line. There was nothing that came back aside from telling the dude his brother's dead.
I thought it was a perfect circle, honestly.
No, how's it come back to where it's a circle though?
Well, we start off the film with him sleeping or resting under a tree, and we end the film with him resting under a tree, right?
That part, yeah.
And he goes from
having a friend to not having a friend.
So you see, you're just being sarcastic now.
Yeah.
Well, it has to do with his story arc, right? Because, and that's why I think I hear a lot of people complain about this movie, which I totally disagree with. They talk about how, like, there's not a lot of character depth for the main characters, and I totally disagree with that.
Well, with the first character, you can only get so much because he dies pretty early in the movie. But that again, scene, like I felt, gave a lot. Because then, like, the cherry blossoms came up a lot in the movie after that. And I feel like when he's dying and, like, him talking and everything and seeing his emotions through that, like, realizing, like, oh, I'm dying. And, like, how they handled that. Like, he didn't lie either. He was like, I think so, yeah. I was like, I really liked that part. I just hate how they got to that part. But
right.
Otherwise, I like that. I'm still blown away by how they handled the, like, just being one seamless take, because they still manage, like, the amount of camera movement in the movie is absurd. Like, they had to have had a crane the entire movie.
They're swinging in and out and between people and around corners. And
yeah, so it actually feels like it's cutting back and forth during conversations a lot, but it's not. It's like the camera's just constantly moving. I was like, that was amazingly done. I was so blown away by that.
It feels smooth too somehow.
So I'm saying, like, it feels like it's cutting back and forth without doing it. Like, you don't ever, because I when I heard about it, I was concerned I'd be exhausted watching it, and then I was like, this is super easy on the eyes. Like, it's not, and I like camera movements too. So, like, to watch all, like, the slide shots and all that, it was completely blew me away. Honestly, it was an amazing movie. It's just.
No, I think you have some fair points, but no, I agree. I also was worried it was going to be a little gimmicky, but I didn't feel that way at all. I really did feel like I was going through the trenches. Like, I've heard it talked about. As like
that's another thing I was kind of upset with. Group. Yeah, it did feel kind of like that. Although I don't think I could fly, so some of the things that the camera was doing, I'm incapable of doing.
But as far as being, like, there, it really felt like you were going through this maze,
especially when he's running at the end. It's like the title shot that they took from the end when he's running over to tell what's his name,
Colonel Mackenzie.
Doctor Strange. When he goes to tell Doctor Strange stuff and he's, like, overly aggressive for no reason, and he has, like, a scar. I was like, no British person's ever looked intimidating before. What are you doing? But that whole scene when he's running, like, at the camera, the one thing that really bothered me with that shot, and I could tell that what had probably happened was they're like, you're going to fall down, you just stay there, and he'll get out of there, like, direction-wise. Because the first guy that he runs into when he's coming across the plane, they just run into each other. Like, he doesn't get shot or anything, and the main character gets back up and starts running, and the other guy just never moves. Like, you can watch, he's just in the background just the whole time. I was like, why isn't he getting up? I was so confused.
Well, if you look into it, the reason he's not getting up is because that wasn't planned.
Oh, he wasn't supposed to get hit?
He wasn't. They weren't supposed to run in. Neither of the guys he runs into, he was supposed to run into.
They just told him all to run and told him to run too, and, like, whatever happens, happens? Was the guy, like, hurt, being a little bitch about it?
No, in a war movie, I think he was just, like, they were, like, they had, like, rehearsed it and everything, but the timing somehow when they actually went to shoot it was off. So they ran into each other, and the main actor, whose name is escaping me, got up and kept running. And I think the other guy was probably just so shocked at being run into. But then the second guy that he runs into does get back up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The first guy, I was like, they should have reshot that, or like put like a CGI bullet going through him at the same time to make it like maybe like he gets shot before they run in to make it look like, oh, that's why he ran into him. I don't know. Because him running into people made sense and made it cooler.
Yeah.
Because they looked like real impact. So I was like, oh.
Kudos. Yeah, no, they did not. They actually legitimately sprinted into each other because it wasn't planned. He wasn't supposed
to
looked
like it,
yeah.
Definitely looked like it wasn't planned.
He probably got the wind knocked out of him, like he probably was just on the ground just like,
yeah, but you're like, I'm here to be an actor. I want to be a soldier today. Like, with a soldier who's getting shit blown up around, just be like, I guess I'll lay here because the wind got knocked out of me. Now get up.
You know what? If you're in the moment, if you're in the moment, you're on camera, and your job is to sprint from point A to point B, and suddenly you get barreled into, you're probably your first thought is not, I have to get back up.
Mine would be.
I don't want to lay there. Damn, who just ran into me? This hurts. That's probably your first thought. Well, I mean, it's not like they're probably all stunt. They're not all stunt men. They're just extras.
They should start hiring me to be an extra then, because I would have just gotten up and gone to point B. Like you said, he had one job, point A to point B. He never got to point B. They shouldn't even pay him. He shouldn't even be allowed to eat. She's like, you should just get off the lot. You're a failure.
I think they did shoot that shot 3 times. Was the total number of times they did that take? Because that was
not a lot.
I think I read that was as many explosives as they had. They had enough for 3 takes. So they did 3 takes. I think they ended up using the first one, which was the one where they ran into each other. But I really wish that shot had not been in the trailer. That really frustrated me that shot was.
I don't really watch trailers anymore. So that's the only time I ever really saw it was it had like. Well, I saw the trailer when I saw. I think it wouldn't have been Star Wars, would it? The last Star Wars, it wouldn't have been for that I saw the trailer.
No, I think.
Was it Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? I think we saw it together.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah. You're right.
And so that's like the one time I saw the trailer, and I was like, oh, that looks cool. And then I like when it has that scene, and then 1917 comes over it. I think that looks really cool.
It did.
I was also
good, honestly.
I was upset that when I bought it, so far I don't have any special features. So I was like, oh. I thought there'd be something.
I have the Blu-ray somewhere, but I haven't really looked at it to see what's on. Like,
I didn't buy it physically. I rented it. I wanted to buy it, and Kelsey was like, "Well, let's not spend money." So I was like, "All right." So I rented it, and then I just had to pay the difference from the rental fee to just buy it outright. So she was like, "Fine," because she liked it. I was like, "I'm probably gonna end up watching this a few more times to like study it," but.
Yeah.
It's always weird talking to people who don't like movies like us too, because like I'll start talking to my dad and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, I don't understand. You watch the movie once, you've seen it." I'm like, "But there's always things you miss, especially if you're looking for like camera stuff, like techniques, like how they like color grade it."
The 4th time I went to see it, I specifically kept count. Like I went specifically and kept count of the cuts that I saw.
There's a few that are pretty obvious, but like when he gets blown up with a trap wire. Things like that, or there's a couple times and like there's a couple times I think when he's running at night in the buildings with like the German soldiers shooting at him before the French girl, the camera pans by the buildings and there's points where like the screen is just black. And I think same thing when he's in the water.
They're going through there's a part of the water where he like goes behind the rock where the camera like pans past the big rock in the middle of the river. That's definitely a cut.
The waterfall scene too, when he jumps and it holds on the water, I know there's a cut there. They probably held the camera there. He got out of the water, took a minute, swam in, went underneath the water, and then they probably filmed it from there. Something. Yeah.
There's several times when they're walking through the trenches towards the beginning where they like go around corners, or like through dark, places where it's like under awnings and it's really dark. And so there's definitely ones where you can tell they hit it. But for the most part, it's like you have to be looking for it.
I think there's a lot of times where I told Kels, I'm pretty sure that they probably got a lot of like Broadway style actors, like play format, because they just do long scenes anyway. So it was probably set up a lot like that, because a lot of it just doesn't seem like you could hide a cut. At the beginning when they're walking for a while, it doesn't really see. I don't really see a spot where they could have really done it. It's just dialogue and stuff, so they're not doing anything crazy. But camera-wise, it was still pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think what I heard was they were doing mostly 8-minute takes. And then some longer, some short, but mostly 8-minute. That is a long take. I mean, like you said, if you're a stage actor, you're on stage for, sometimes 10, 15 minutes at a time, and then you go off and you're back on in 2 minutes, you're back on for another 15 minutes, but when you've got, cameras and microphones and all this stuff revolving around you, that is a long time to.
I was getting stressed out thinking about like how being the director would have been, just being like, oh my God, this anytime somebody messed up a line, being like, dude,
well, can you get fired? If, like you're at the seventh minute of this 8-minute take, and like one of the microphone guys like trips and falls down and drops the boom mic. Like, cut. That'd be so.
Then you start beating them.
But I mean, Sam Mendes, he's the one that it's his film. He was the one that wrote it. He wanted to direct it as a one take basically. So he brought it on himself.
Yeah.
So he
wanted a good challenge. He wanted to. I mean, he definitely caught the eye of a lot of people. I mean, everyone's been talking about this movie since it came out. So, and I get the whole take thing and messing up towards the end because I've been trying to track drums for some like cover songs and stuff I'm doing, and I'm not that great at drums yet. So I mess up sometimes, and I don't have help recording. So my drum set's over there, and I'm at my computer now. So when I record, it has like a counter, and I'm wearing these headphones so I can hear when I have to come in. I have to run over, make sure I have the click correct so I know when to start, and I go until the end of the song. And almost always there's one part where like I hit the snare drum, but I hit the rim just a little too much, and instead of being like a pop, it's like a, and like so the whole song sounds good, and there's one little like, and I can't just fix that one part because it's drums, like it's all these different moving parts. So I have to keep going back and just redoing the whole song. And there's this song "Psycho Killer" by the Talking Heads that came out. It's an older song. If you heard it, you might even recognize it from a movie or something. But
it sounds amazing.
It's not like a aggressive song or anything. You might like it. It's a fun sounding song, but it's a faster song and playing it on drums. And it's about 5 minutes, I think, my recording. And I did 12 takes the other day, and I was drenched in sweat, didn't get it. I was just screaming, fuck, in my basement. I go upstairs, my wife's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm a failure. I can see why you want to leave.
That's when she's like, how did you know?
I'm a mind reader. I don't know. I'm good at some things, like knowing I'm a loser, but another issue I had, and it's not like an issue technically with anything that the movie did, it's what I would have liked to have seen, because nobody ever seems to do World War I movies almost ever.
Yeah.
So I was really hoping that they would have some sort of trench warfare. Like you see them in the trenches and then running across the field, but I want to see them in someone's face with a shotgun and beating each other to death with shovels. And
I will say I agree with you, and I also think it's not necessarily a problem, but I really felt like it was missing like that
missed opportunity.
One fight scene where we're like up close to the action, actually people fighting.
Yeah, because I mean, I felt like he was a brave soldier enough, like the mission was difficult. He was, kills the guy in the tower. So he gets like, that's like one of the only kills I think he really get, that and like the German that stabs his friend. And even then when he shot him, he shoots him like twice from 10 feet away, and neither one was a fantastic shot. So I was like, hey, what the, shoot him in the face. Like he's right there, shoot him in the face. Let him to die or be upset.
I think he also strangles the young soldier in the town.
He does do that, yeah. That one was cool, but then he runs away from the other guy, which I'm glad you brought that up, because that actually made me angry too. Because when they show the knife slide across the floor, and then the other guy's coming over, and he's all drunk, like, "What's going on with you?" Like, he runs past the knife, and then just shoulders the guy and leaves, and then the guy obviously follows him out, warns everybody else, and starts shooting at him. Why didn't he just grab the knife and stab him?
Yeah, he could have done that. He definitely couldn't have shot him because that would have.
I would have done that because but it showed the knife a couple times, so I was like, "Oh, that's going to be important." Nope. Like, he should have ran, picked it up, and instead of showing the guy, because the knife was right there. He didn't have to like do much to get it before the guy got to him, right. And just kill him.
Again, I'll say maybe he's in a panic and isn't thinking. He's just like, I have to get the hell out of here. Maybe it's dark and he doesn't see the knife. Like, but I guess there are logical standpoint. I agree.
It just would have made sense, and then it is a war. He did win a medal. He seems to be a good soldier. I feel like if you don't want to die, you're gonna be like, I can't let all these people around me know I'm here. And then the exact thing he does is alert everybody around him without even shooting a gun. So it was just, I didn't think that was a wise decision. But
yeah, I agree. But in the moment, in the actual watching the movie, I can't say it ever particularly bothered me. It was just sort of like
I immediately was like, why didn't you grab the knife? I literally said to Kelsey, I was like, why didn't you grab the knife? She's like, I don't know, that doesn't make any sense. Like, all right. I didn't see it in theaters though. I mean, I had my surround sound speaker thing like blasting with my subwoofer and stuff. And the score of the movie is awesome too. I like that a lot.
I have listened to the piece. It's called 1600 Men. It's the piece when he runs across the field. I listened to that piece so many times. Also,
again.
Also the piece when he wakes up after getting shot in the helmet and he's knocked out and he wakes up and he's watching the flares going off, and the piece that plays
I like that part a lot, actually, because then when he looks down, the thing's like on fire. It's like a well, or not well, like a water fountain, like on fire almost. I don't know what it even was, but it almost looked like a cross. The way like they hit it with the angle, like the bowl of it came out and the top went up, so like the angle almost made it look like a cross. I was like, I wonder if like they're trying to symbolize something here. I don't know what.
but that whole scene is just mesmerizing. It's,
that whole section, I told Kelsey, like, this has to be like in a warehouse. I don't know where they would have filmed that, where there's like all those crumbled buildings and stuff. Or maybe not a warehouse, but like a lot. I felt like, with a green screen behind them,
where they could. Well, it's not a green screen actually. They didn't set up a green screen there, but I don't know where they filmed it.
I meant like the background. Like you'd have a bunch of buildings built, and then a big green wall or something to provide the horizon. Or it might not even be a green screen. They could just have a painted horizon or something like they used to do. But I'm saying like that part, logistically in my head, I picture like a football field size lot, the buildings, it's dark, and then you could have your background be painted walls or something.
Or something like that. Yeah. Well, I do know, I knew that they filmed it out in the middle of an open field, but I don't know what they did exactly for that. And then for the church that's on fire towards the end of that sequence, I think they just literally stuck thousands of LED lights in this building, turned them all on, and used that for the lighting, and then added the fire in afterwards.
They couldn't just burn the church?
No, I don't think they could realistically set a whole building on fire like that.
Yeah, just go to Norway. They do it all the time. It's like what they're known for.
Okay, maybe they could have had a controlled burn that was that big. Can we put it that way?
Fine. Whatever. If you insist. Still want my trench warfare.
I agree. That would have been.
I'm sure there's going to be 100 movies trying to copy it now too. Well, maybe not now, but in a few years when people go outside again.
But then when it does finally come to the end and he's back sitting under the tree and you see the transformation that he's gone through, where he was early on. I mean, he was friends with Tom, but he's bitter and disillusioned, and
he got rid of his medal, sold it for wine.
Yeah, so you can see he's basically one of those where, there's no reason to be here, sort of, this war is useless. He's very disheartened. And then towards the end, through great tragedy, not that he's had a complete change of heart or that he wants to be there, but he's found some sort of acceptance for the fact that what he's doing matters.
I didn't know if I got that. Because I didn't see anything where he thought that what he did mattered. I think he wanted to finish the mission for his friend, let his brother know at that point that he died, and then at the end when he was looking at the picture of his wife and kid, I figure he's like, I just really want to leave. I really do not want to be here anymore. That's what I got out of it.
Well, I mean, he had talked earlier about, why he says, why did you choose me? So he's angry that he's having to go through this, but he also talks about how he hates going home because he means he has to leave again. So he talks about how much he hated getting leave to go back home
because he knew he was going to be pulled back.
Because he knew he was going to be pulled back. And you see throughout the film, right, he constantly pulls out that little tin that he has, it opens up, and then you never see, until the end, you never see what he's got that he's looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And what I definitely got out of it was that the farther along the film goes, the more he is. It does start from the tragedy of losing his friend, but he becomes more and more steadfast in his journey despite all the opposition.
Yeah,
and willing to risk everything. Whereas early on, where he was angry that he was in danger, now he's willing to risk his life in danger over and over again.
He kind of gets to a point pretty quickly where I don't think it matters which direction he tries to go. It's not going to be good.
Like well, he could have stayed. He could have stayed in the little
after the bunker blows up
with the. Well, he could. I mean, Tom says you can go back if you want. He doesn't. He doesn't stay with the French woman, which he could have. So there's points
that wasn't exactly a fun place. I feel like she probably didn't live through the rest of that war.
No, I didn't mean like stay permanently, but I meant like he could have like tried to find a safer time to. But like he had places where he could have turned back, and he doesn't, despite the danger.
I guess I just assumed it was because he wanted to do right by his friend and didn't want his friend's brother to die too.
I think it starts out that way, but even after the men are going over, so it's like he's too late.
But he wasn't. Still he does stop it.
He does stop it eventually. Yes, he stops the second wave or whatever.
Well, I mean, especially at that point, I think even if you absolutely wanted nothing to do with that situation, when you got there and it was starting, you'd be like, oh my God. I feel like you would be saying, I'm here, just stop. At that point, I understand running across the field. They're like, you're crazy. It's like, I can't have gone through all of that for zero reason.
I mean, it would have been much easier for him to just stay in that wood and just the woods and just collapse. And
well, he almost did until they were like, where are you looking for? He's like, oh. That guy was singing in the woods for a while.
Which was also a beautiful scene.
I guess, yeah.
Oh, I hated his voice. Was hard. I listened to that song.
I didn't actually hit his
constantly.
Voice. I would have heckled him. I would have been the guy to be like, fag.
Boo.
Play Wonderwall.
Fine. He's doing the best he can. Come on.
No, he did fine. I don't think I'd sit around and watch him sing. It's like when someone pulls like a guitar out at a party or something, I want to throw up.
But that moment in the movie, he's at the point of collapse.
It was a good scene. I didn't mind the scene. I'm just making fun of him.
Okay, good. I had to make sure.
I liked. I saw the main guy. I don't know his name either. I'll look it up just so I could say it. But I saw him in 11/22/63, which is a
George McKay
Stephen King novel about the JFK assassination, and they go back to. Well, the one guy goes back to stop it. James Franco plays it. George McKay is the main guy.
Yeah.
He was like a hillbilly guy back in 1960 something, and the main character befriends him and kind of gets him in on this thing for, stopping the JFK assassination, and then he ends up, there's a whole plot thing with him. I fucking hated him in that. I hated him so much. I don't think I liked the character, and I don't know who directed it. Maybe he made him do it, but he was like this like Southern accent, and like the way like his bottom jaw would protrude out all the time when he smoked a cigarette and stuff. I hated him. I hated him so much. And when I saw he was in this movie, I was like, why'd they go with him? And I saw it, and he was amazing, actually. So I guess that's why they went with him. But he was, I'm assuming it's probably the director's fault or something why I didn't like him in 11/22. Because, I mean, some people think James Franco's a good actor. I tend to not agree. I don't think he's the worst.
Seen him enough.
I've seen him in Spider-Man. That was my first real experience with him, and I really didn't like him in that. I thought he was kind of annoying. And then I've seen him in a few comedies. I don't know. I don't know what it is that I don't like. Is that I always know that he's acting, except for Pineapple Express is probably the best he's done. But even then, there's times where I could totally tell he's acting. He didn't
really disappear into the character. He was still
I feel like he never really does for me, at least. I mean, in 11/22/63, there was times like he'd have like a conversation, like certain facial expressions that he made and stuff almost came across as like arrogant to me. It's like that's what you think you should be doing instead of what you should be doing. Not like I know.
Like he's never had a real conversation.
Yeah, no, it's just like because he ends up becoming in 11/22/63. He's from, I'm not sure when the book was written, but in the show, basically modern day times, and he goes back to stop the assassination. And when you get back there, it takes, I think he has to be there for like 4 years before the assassination. So he's trying to become more and more like, appropriate for that time. So he gets a haircut, gets a car, all this stuff. But just the way that he acted in certain times, it was like, I don't know. It just didn't feel right. It just felt like this weird disconnect from like the character, especially when you consider the fact that he's a modern citizen trying to act like a 60s citizen, and then James Franco's involved now. It just got weird sometimes. A lot of the acting in it was kind of wonky. I had to look at the director. I don't know who did that, but I never finished it. 11/22/63. Have you been to the book suppository? I mean, you're right there.
No.
Why not? Have you been to the grassy knoll?
No.
Have you stood on the X in the road?
Have I what? Have I stood in the X? No.
There's an X in the road where JFK was shot in the face. You could stand there.
No, I haven't. Why would I want to do that? That's weird.
I would do all of these things every day when I lived in Dallas. That is what all of my day will be spent doing.
No, I mostly spend my time doing other equally useless things, but not that.
In 1917, it actually had a lot of actors I didn't expect that just kind of popped up.
Popped up for like 5 seconds. I really liked, oh my goodness, what's his name from Sherlock?
Mark Strong?
Who plays? No, he's really good too. But I'm talking about the TV show Sherlock. He plays Moriarty. He's the captain who sends them over
people? Oh no, it's gone.
It's clear. The name is the one. I can see the picture, but I can't.
Is it Andrew Scott?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, he plays Moriarty in the.
Change my background. It's probably that. That's what the problem was.
He's there for like a minute and a half, and he was really funny. He's like, when you get shot, would you be so good as to throw it back? Talking about the like the little quips.
Yeah, he was like early in the movie. Yeah, I liked him. Benedict Cumberbatch was a weird one. I felt like he really pulled
just throw
me
it
out
there at the end.
Yeah, I felt like it was too big of a name, and he was
I agree, actually. Oh, it's Benedict Cumberbatch. Like,
yeah, especially now that he's like a Marvel hero, like that kind of just was too much.
Everyone else had to give him the scar because they had to like
try to make him look
like
The scar, different. I hate when they add scars and stuff like that in movies. It's like, we get it. He's a badass.
I mean, I think he, for the 30 seconds he's on screen, Benedict Cumberbatch did a great job. But I agree, it was sort of this, oh, there's Benedict Cumberbatch, which
it's
I
immediately
didn't get.
What I said. Like the second I saw him, I was like, oh, he's in this.
Which I didn't get when Mark Strong came on screen. I didn't get
when I saw him. I was like, oh, that's cool, because I like Mark Strong a lot. He's in a lot of things I like. So, and Richard Madden, I didn't know his name, but he's the brothers. He's the brother of
He's Tom's brother.
Yeah, Tom is his name. He was in Game of Thrones. He plays one of the Stark brothers, and I wasn't like a big fan of him or anything in Game of Thrones, but I didn't dislike him, and I liked him as the brother in this in 1917. I thought he was really good, actually, especially like because he doesn't have a long scene. Yeah, and he has to, he finds out his brother dies, and like his response, I thought was really good. I thought it was weird though when he was like, "Go ahead, go to the mess hall, get yourself something to eat. You had a hard day or whatever," and then like the main guy's like, and then walks away. He just stands in the background. There's just a few times that happened where I felt like they planned out this long take, and they didn't figure out exactly what to do with people.
I bought it 100%. He was like, again, he goes to the emotion start where he's like, "Oh, you must know my brother." And then he said, "We were sitting here together." He's like, "Oh, he's here. Where's Tom?" And then he realizes he's dead.
Yeah, it dawns on him,
and he's given the ring and whatnot. And he sort of dismisses Will. He's like, go to, and he's just sort of standing there in shock. That's the way it came across to me. Is he's just sort of like.
That's how I rationalized it. It just looked weird because it was like the way the camera moved, and like he's just like in the background now, and it's not focused on him. So like to have him like in the background, it just felt weird to me. Like I felt like they should have just had him.
I didn't have that reaction at all. I didn't have the reaction at all.
In my head, I was like, "Oh, he's upset," but.
I totally bought that scene completely. It's even the fact that he's like, he says, "Okay, go get something to eat," and he starts to walk away, and then Will realizes that he still has stuff he wants to say, and he has to turn around. It's like it didn't play out just like if they had just had the conversation straight through, it wouldn't have felt natural because
I like that whole part. I liked all of it up until Will walks away at the very end. And the brother's just standing there in the background. You could just see him as he's walking towards it until the camera finally is like, all right, you don't have to look at him standing there being sad in the background anymore. I'm going to look at this tree. And Will's going to be sad because his wife and kid are not here.
I don't know. Some of the other stuff you said, I was like, yeah, I can see that. I totally did.
Because this one, it wasn't like an issue for me. I just thought it was odd. Like there's just a few times like when the guy got knocked down. And for me, like this part, it just felt like they were like these big long takes. So someone in the background, and like someone in the background's doing something odd that just it's like, why would you be doing that? Like, why wouldn't you just walk away? Why are you just standing there?
So basically, what you're saying is it's such a good movie that we have to find little nitpicks to go for.
I'm saying it was a big project, and they could have fielded it more for things like that. Which I'm sure they fielded it a lot. And I mean, I would imagine it's super difficult to pull that off. But I also feel like you're going to have
feel like
a
there
lot
were
more
some
mistakes.
Little details that got overlooked. Basically.
Yeah, I also think it's going to happen when you're doing 8-minute takes. Like there's going to be something, especially if you shoot it 3 or 4 times and you're like, okay, or maybe you do it like 5, 6 times to make sure you have it. And then you go through it and like there's always like, okay, this is my favorite take. You put it in, you look at it after editing, and you look in the background, and you're like, why is Jeff just sitting there? Why wouldn't he walk off the
bell?
Yeah, like what, like that kind of stuff. But then it's like you already have it, and then you look at the other takes; they might have it too. It's 4 months after you filmed it, and you're like, So I feel like you're gonna have a lot more mistakes, like weird people in the background doing things when that's the case, or people that just. Like when you watch old CGI films, like the original Shrek and stuff, a lot of the times they still have things moving in the background, But even rewatching Frozen 1 with my kids, I saw that there's times they're in like a town and there's people in the background who are just like this. It's like two of them are supposed to be having a conversation. Like they just put them there, or like you don't see like any trees moving in a breeze. It's just like here's this. It looks like someone drew it and they put it down. And then over time they started putting life into the world. Like you can see like the trees moving in the breeze or something like that. And I feel like that's like this movie is one of the first, basically the first movie like it in terms of like the long takes and stuff. There's going to be a lot of mistakes, like where there's people in the background, like they had a lot of people sleeping in the trenches, which it makes sense, which I feel is probably they want to make sure everyone was tired and stuff.
Pretty realistic.
It is, but also convenient that they're all just napping in the background while these other two are walking around like they're not having a conversation or anything. I think when people start doing these types of movies more and more, you're going to get, well, actors will get used to doing it too. Yeah. And then things in the background will be doing more than just laying there after they get knocked over like a bad actor. So yeah, I think I'm interested to seeing where this goes, because everyone's going to start doing stuff like this. Yeah,
right.
I'm excited to see if they do like what they do horror wise with it, because they might be able to pull something cool off. It'll well, no, I feel like they're probably going to go way harder with the jump scares, which I hate. But
see, the issue with doing a one take, right, is you're trying to do it in real time, so you have to develop an entire story in 2 hours of he did it in time. Less.
He actually did it, which I'm sure that's another reason why the movie's short, is because he's like, I could only do this for so long.
Yeah,
it was just
but my point is, like, you can't do flashbacks, and you don't want to rely on exposition too much. So your story has to be relatively contained, and I feel like the scenario or the setup has to be something that's generally known, so that you don't have to explain World War I, right? Most people understand.
I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like if you ask most people what World War I was even about. Did Trump do it?
Yes. The short answer is yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, maybe that's fair. But point being, I feel like you have to have a scenario that's relatively accessible, so that you don't have to set up too much. And you have to have a story that's contained in just a couple hours.
In terms of
they did have the one cut in time when he's knocked out and it gets dark out.
Yeah,
which helps like stretch the timeline of the story out a little bit.
Which that also kind of bothered me too when he got shot in the helmet. I was like, I've seen that happen in like 5 war movies too. I get why the helmet's there; it works like almost never, but does occasionally work.
At least give the film credit. He didn't just like walk, sit up and just go, oh, look, there's a dent in my helmet, and then like brush some dust off.
No, he had a concussion for the rest of the movie. Almost drowned. I was like, does he not know how to swim? Why does it look like he can't hold his breath correctly?
He's in these heavy clothes. He's got a concussion. Give the guy a break.
No.
You're so uncaring.
Yeah, I am. You're supposed to be a hero, damn it. You're supposed to be what I can't be.
He's supposed to be just a normal guy who's thrust into the situation.
Well, yeah, he had Cumberbatch in the movie. Everyone has to be a hero now. He should be like Superman.
Rallying people around and flying.
Most of the time, everyone was really dismissive of him. There was there's always like a character or two who's like, help the guy out. But then everyone else is kind of like a dick to him. No, I guess not everyone, but like Cumberbatch is like really dismissive, and like all the people when he's trying to get to him to tell him to stop are literally preventing him from going in the room and being assholes. And then when he's in the back of the truck, they're kind of being like not assholes to him directly, but like they're saying things like they're making like stupid stories that he's seems like not offended by, but like he's just like biting his tongue about. And then the one guy asks him like if he's all right. And then when the truck gets stuck, they're all being like lazy and don't want to help, and he's like, ah! His face when he's pushing backwards, I was like, turn around. What are you doing? You're the one stopping it. How are you ever going to deliver this message?
He just lost his best friend, okay? He's like really, really agitated right now, and he's probably trying not to slug or shoot these guys.
I wish I'd lose my best friend. Clifford has been such a disappointment lately.
Oh my gosh.
At least if he died, he'd be helpful in giving me motivation.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it is. And he's horrible. I'm done with it.
Move to Dallas, man. Move to Dallas.
I'm trying. I'm hoping I can. I'm looking into it a lot more.
I'm not as horrible, I promise.
I'm
trying really hard.
You're acceptable. And you have a grocery store so we could film that one movie. I'm going to try to watch Parasite maybe tonight, and then I'll let you know about that because I keep hearing really good things about it.
I have someone I know who's been begging me to see it, and I haven't done it yet.
Well, I feel like you have like this very stereotypical lens when it comes to anything in the horror genre, but the horror genre is so big in terms of it's like there's a bunch of subgenres in horror. Like I think you'd like the Babadook because the Babadook is technically it's like a creature that like I don't even remember what exactly it does, but the actual movie it's really about what's going on in the mother's head. Like her son is like autistic. She lost her husband. She's going through a lot. And the Babadook is actually more of like a metaphor. And at the end of the movie, like you kind of learn more about that. But it's more of a psychological thing. Things like that. I don't know if Ex Machina would be considered.
I'm not against seeing Parasite. I just haven't done it yet because it doesn't strike me immediately. And when I have time to sit down and watch a movie, there's other films that I've gone to first.
I haven't seen much about Parasite either because, like I said, I don't really watch trailers anymore. And so I knew it was a thing, and then I kept hearing people talk. That's kind of how I do it now, is I wait until I see people I care about talking about it. Like if Stuckman gives it a good review, or even Jeremy Johns, I like his take on things now. So then if I hear guests on like Rogan's podcast, or if they talk about like on other podcasts I listen to, I'm like, okay, I guess I'll look into it.
Give it a shot. Did you make any headway on Yojimbo?
No, it looks like I'm gonna have to. I have to look and see if it's. I'm guessing it's probably not to buy it, but it's $3.99 on iTunes. I think Amazon, maybe YouTube. I may have found a version of it though on YouTube for free. So
okay,
I started watching. But it was like, oh, I found it on my phone, so I wasn't gonna watch it that way. And I have to find a really good time to watch that because I don't know if Kelsey's gonna
be interested. Yeah, it doesn't strike me as her sort of movie.
But yeah, it's gonna be. I'm assuming pretty slow paced. It's older.
At places, yes. At places it does move slowly, but it's definitely one of sort of the early forefathers of what became sort of the action film.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, one of my favorite movies, has plenty of action in it at times. It's also super slow paced at times. Like the whole scene where the Bad is walking into that one guy's house. I think it's towards the beginning. Like the mule's like turning the thing. You see that mule turn the thing for a while. Him walking the house takes a long time. He sits down. But I like stuff like that. I just have to be in the mood for it. That's why I like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because Tarantino does a lot of slow moving things too to build up.
Yeah.
So I like it, but
need to be.
Kelsey's not like
be
that.
Overly.
No, it doesn't need to be over. But Good, Bad, and the Ugly, it's also like I imagine with older films, they're gonna do that more. It wasn't. I mean, people back then were just amazed that they could see something somewhere. Now everyone's like, "Why is it?
Why isn't it cut yet? It's been 4 seconds. Why aren't we seeing something new?"
Yeah, it's like
it was much more like stage acting. It was very much more that style. people actually interacting. You didn't have 10 cameras with coverage of every single.
Well, I was explaining to my dad the other day. We were talking about. I brought up Every Frame of Painting, the Jackie Chan one, where I was like, he would do wide shots because they actually knew how to fight, and so instead of cutting away every time someone gets hit or something, they just had two people fight, and then if it was like a really impactful or important punch or something, it would like show it twice, but the second one would be a close up, and your brain registers it as just one strong hit as opposed to two different like takes on it. And I was like, it's a really cool, thoughtful way of doing something that I never see now, and it makes me angry.
Yeah.
We have to rewrite the not rewrite it, but put that in the duel for the the duel for the remote skit I want to do.
Oh, okay. Some sort of
like when someone gets hit, it does like the double up, like it's a wide shot and cuts to a close up or something. Gotta do that.
I'm down for that. And a film that I will leave you it's very slow, very, very slow. It's called Hostiles.
I think I've heard of that.
With Christian Bale and Rosamund Pike.
You're a really big Christian Bale fan.
I mean, when he's in good movies, and he picks a lot of good movies.
Oh yeah, I just feel like almost every, or at least like every other movie you recommend, it's like Christian Bale's in it now.
Christian Bale is not in Yojimbo. He's not in Sanjuro. He's not in 1917.
He wasn't even alive in 1917.
When that movie was made, yes.
Exactly. They went back in time.
Well, next time you need a slow film after you watch Yojimbo, you should watch Hostiles.
Well, I'm going to try to watch Parasite. I'm going to try to watch Yojimbo when I get the chance. But I also don't want the kids interrupting me. Yeah. Which was part of the problem with 1917. Yeah. I was like, go in the bedroom and watch them. And we watched it later at night. I was like, you guys can use my bedroom, watch whatever. And every 10 seconds, can we have goldfish? Can we have yogurt? Can we have applesauce? I was like, can I have peace and quiet? Can I? But not what I want. Let me watch the
kids.
Well, Kels was worried about them or Silas more than Layla because she's, 3, but like worried about him watching 1917 in case it was graphic. But with things like that, I don't really like. I'd let him watch Saving Private Ryan if he wanted to. I don't think he would after a few minutes, although maybe he would. But I wouldn't mind him watching something as long as it's like historically accurate. Like if it's teaching a lesson, I don't mind if it's
a little brutal
and the kid sees it. Yeah, because I mean that did happen. I don't think that war is something we should sugarcoat. It's kind of a big deal. People die.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah,
So.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely
fine with exposing it.
Yeah, giving a realistic lens to the horrors, but also the necessity sometimes, right? But not always.
Sometimes, yeah. I got
we did need to stop the Nazis. That was pretty important.
Did we need to nuke 2 cities of innocent people? Yeah, I got into an argument with somebody about that not too long ago. I'm friends with the guy too, but he was like, "Well, maybe they should have given up." I'm like, but if someone nuked our cities, would you be like, "Should we have given up?" I was like, we're the only people on the planet who have ever used a nuclear bomb. And we did it twice in like a 24-hour time frame on cities of civilians. He's like, well, they bombed Pearl Harbor. I'm like, well, kind of. And also, that's a military base. That's where they're supposed to. That's where you're supposed to attack people. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's justified at all.
I mean,
I've heard the argument that it ultimately saved lives because of how hard an invasion would have been, and I don't buy it. It's like that doesn't excuse, like you said, nuking civilians. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it was just. It's kind of just like letting everyone else know how big our dick was. I think is like what that was. It was just like, look at these, look what we got, and I don't know. Because when you think about it, like, there's all these people that we don't like currently that are actually scary people. And they're not nuking anybody, and they can. So it's like, if you don't have, like, China's not doing it, Putin's not doing it, even North Korea's not doing it. If all these people aren't doing it.
Well, they're not doing it because they know that everybody else has weapons too, and they'd be screwed if they'd have to nuke everybody. They'd have to nuke everybody before anybody else got something on.
The whole thing with nukes at this point seems so odd, because what would be the point in nuking? I mean, if somebody nuked us, I guess the retaliation would be to do the same, but it also gets to a point where, like, if you win the war, what exactly are you winning? I don't think that we'd be doing that stuff anyway. I feel like...
You think if somebody dropped the nuke on us, we wouldn't retaliate with another nuke?
Oh, we probably would. I'm saying if it got to a point, like, there's certain countries that will drop a nuke because they'd rather watch the world burn than lose their country. Like, that would be my fear if you went to war with China or like Russia, is that they're the type of culture that is just gonna burn the planet before giving up. So it's like, those are the type of people that scare me. Whereas I think we're capable of doing some pretty gross things, but if we got to that point, I think even as citizens, we'd be like, yo, we're done. Like, we don't want... because that's what happens. Like, usually when your countries lose wars, I mean, like, Germany's still there. I mean, a lot of times when people lose wars, it's not like the country goes away. It's just like we take their military away or something like that. Like, Japan's still there. Yeah. But I don't think China would even allow it to get to that point. I think they'd be like, no.
No. We're going to mess you up, boy.
Like, let's send in the COVID. So have everyone start eating bats in the streets and running to America. I don't know.
I mean,
this is going to be interesting after the quarantine's over, because China's in a kind of a hot seat right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you're going to see them continue to be cut out of the global supply chain.
I think they should be. Yeah, I don't agree with using them anymore. I kind of didn't anyway. Like, I thought it was weird
that we were letting them be involved. Yeah, it's like,
people
why did they have a seat on human rights committees again? Can someone explain that to me? Why they get a seat, please?
Yo, I don't know. Well, I mean, they basically own the World Health Organization. Apparently, the whole interview with that guy was fucking crazy. But there's a lot of people the same people I noticed who will argue like, well, why are companies going to China and using their resources and blah blah, are also like, they have an iPhone. And like, my dad, for instance, was complaining about Jeff Bezos and all this shit. And I was like, but you have an iPhone. He's like, yeah. I was like, well, he's doing the same shit that you're complaining about. Like, that's what Apple does. I was like, you're supporting Apple, but you don't like Bezos. I was like, Apple's worse. I mean, they're utilizing slave labor. That's what he was complaining about, like the warehouses for Amazon and like the employee situation.
Okay, that sucks, but at least they're getting paid.
Yeah, I was like, you're wearing Nikes who literally use slave labor and looking up this information on an iPhone, which was made by children or people jumping out of buildings to their death. Like,
yeah, you're in no position to stand on a moral high ground and look down on other people.
Well, the same thing happened with the Kaepernick situation. A lot of people were like, I'm not going to buy Nike anymore, that they're endorsing him. I'm like, they were endorsing child labor too. That's not what stops you.
An issue.
That's not where you... Once you start endorsing a black man, this is where we draw the line. He's not standing for the anthem, but those fucking slave children will stand for the goddamn anthem. Was it done making that iPhone?
It is amazing the things that will actually get a reaction and the things that will just get completely ignored.
Every day I look at the delete Facebook button, and I'm so close. It's just... I use it for, like, when I go to post these podcasts and stuff, I'm going to be using it for that. I have my band stuff. So I have things I manage on there, but like my actual personal profile, I'm getting more and more just like, it's always so toxic and everyone knows everything always. It's so annoying.
Everybody's an expert.
Yeah. I'm in a group now because did you watch Tiger King?
No.
For the love of God, watch Tiger King.
I have so many better things to do with my time.
No, you don't. It's honestly, it's fascinating. Like, it's funny, and I understand from like not seeing it where you'd be like, oh, it's some quirky whatever. But it gets into like other people who own tigers, and they're all fascinating for completely different reasons. Like Joe Exotic, the main guy, the Tiger King, he's a redneck homosexual who owns tigers. So, and he lives in Oklahoma. So everything about him is ridiculous. He ends up running for governor at one point, and he goes onto the Libertarian Party, even though he doesn't know what it is. But his campaign manager he used to be like a manager at Walmart or something in like the ammunition section. He's a libertarian, and every time he's on the screen, it's my favorite thing. Like, there's a follow-up episode where they talk to the people afterwards. He's like, "Fuck the feds," and he's just so anti-government. He's so amazing. And they're all real, but they feel like characters. There's the one dude who owns tigers, like I think it's like Vagaba or Bagava, they call him. I forgot his real name, but he has a bunch of women that work for him. Basically, I don't really see too many guys on his land, but he has this massive piece of property. Tons of women work for him. Everyone basically works for free, but they have their own houses, and he's married to like 5 or 6 of them. And it's like this weird cult, and they all call him like Bagava or something, which means like friend of God or something like that. Like but you don't find that. It's like the way the whole thing, another woman, like everyone's pretty sure she killed her husband. There's like a murder story. There's a attempted hire assassination. There's a cult. I mean, there's so much going on, and it's a documentary, but it's long, and the people are just crazy. So trust me, it's not a waste of time. You'll learn about a whole community of people in a whole aspect. Never want to
see again.
Well, but it's zoos too, because they talk about like they're zookeepers, and you learn about how like tigers are bred and like the whole industry, which was interesting too. There's just a lot in that documentary. But Nicolas Cage is going to play the Tiger King, and now I forgot why I brought any of this up.
I don't know. You're talking about things to watch and finding time to watch stuff.
Well, you should watch Tiger King, but I was going to tell you to watch something else, I think, on Netflix. But now I can't remember. So just watch Tiger King.
How many episodes is it? And how long is it?
I want to say it's 7 episodes, and each one's like an hour.
Okay, that's not horrible.
No, I mean, and there's not going to be a season 2. Myself. Yeah, well, there's not going to be like a season 2 or anything, so you can take your time with it. There's an 8th episode. If you want to, you can watch it, but it's not. It's just like a Skype call, like what we're doing, but with Joe McHale hosting it, and he just kind of talks to some of the people. It's not a very in-depth conversation. So you don't really learn. You do learn how some people feel about Joe that I didn't get from the documentary, like some of his employees and stuff. So it turns out the one is trans. Huh?
They love him or they hate him?
Yeah, it's hard to explain. Yes. Like, because some of them are like, yeah, he deserved, because I don't even want to tell you exactly what happens with him, because I don't want to spoil too much of it, but they're like, some of them agree with what ends up happening, but don't think it should be as drastic, or some don't think it should have happened at all. Some think he should die. Like, it's all over the place.
Okay.
But
a wide range of emotions.
Yeah. And then you find out in the recap that the one girl who's in the show is trans, I guess, like goes by like she considers herself a man. And she doesn't, her look, it could be, you could be like, oh, you're a girl or a boy, whatever. I don't care about that. What I thought was great is that Joe McHale brings it up, that like people were upset that she was misgendered because they all kept calling her a girl or a she in the show. And then she's like, yeah, I kind of consider myself a man, but I don't really care. I was like, see, why is everyone else got to make everything such a big deal? And the person that it's apparently affecting is like, I don't really give a shit. Give a damn. I'm just trying to be a person. That's all. So yeah, I can respect that, but she's cool too, because like when you see the show, what happens to her and like her attitude towards the whole thing is pretty cool. Not a reaction I would have expected from somebody, but yeah, just watch it. I don't want to get too much more into it, but
I'll try to find time over the next couple of weeks, knock out like an episode a day, a couple times a
Yeah.
week or something.
Well, I think what might even happen is you'll watch 1 or 2 episodes and be like, one more. Because it gets to a point. Because, I've been noticing things with documentaries lately. Like, did you see Don't Fuck with Cats?
No.
Oh, watch that too. That one's amazing. It's an amazing documentary. Yes, it is. Be prepared because that one gets brutal. But
what, like cat fights?
No, it starts off with a guy makes a video where I can't remember the first one, if he drowns the kittens or what, but he kills kittens. And people get mad, obviously, and they make like this Facebook group trying to find him. And he like messes with them because you can't really see his face in the video or anything. So he says something to them, and then he posts another video, like he's taunting them. He posts another video where he like feeds it to a python, and then another one he puts him in like a vacuum sealed bag. But it's like this Facebook group of people who are just outraged trying to find him, and some of the people like have a career where they're going to be better at that than others, and some of them are just super motivated. And the way that they work together and almost like find this guy, it's like, oh, there's that in the background. You hear that noise? Like it has to be this country, blah blah blah. And then like triangulate like a rough location, and then eventually it gets so much further away from killing cats. Like the whole thing and the way it all plays out, it's super interesting. I think that one's 3 episodes. But what I was gonna say is I've noticed with documentaries, trust me, it's good. It's good. It's I guess a happy ending, technically. But it delves in like the psyche of some people, and like it's just cool how like it was cool seeing how people work together to do something meaningful.
To avenge kittens.
Yeah, well, it becomes more than that. It gets out of hand, but it's a really good documentary. And what I was going to say is I've noticed a lot with documentaries lately is the way that they've been slowly presenting the information to the viewer. It's really good with dropping a bomb on you. Like just the directing of documentaries lately has gotten, I think, on a whole nother level where it's like a documentary, but they have like these weird spins and twists to it that really make them interesting. Like the way they drop
it. I mean,
like
just the way it's presented is you're saying is becoming
the way it's presented, the way it's instead of it just being like I'm going here, I'm going to talk to this guy, and it shows them in the interview. It's like it'll have interviews, it'll show some footage, and like then like the way that they actually develop the story that they want. Because I mean, with like Tiger King, for instance, the story could have been 100 different things. And I think what happened with a lot of the documentaries I'm seeing lately, like the Don't Fuck with Cats one, is they start trying to do one movie, and then all this other stuff happens. Like when they start interviewing people, like, well, this guy's kind of weird too, and that guy's kind of weird. So they start doing like more diving into that, and they find this other big, different story than what they wanted to tell. So, and then the way that they drop it on you is kind of like the way that, like they maybe discovered it, because like if you talk to any of the characters from Tiger King, you could have found out information in a totally different order than what they give it to you in, and it adds all these weird, fun elements of surprise to it. It without spoiling anything. There's a lot of times
I see what you're saying.
Oh, and yeah, and it's now all this makes sense. I got it now. Like, I just feel like they've been getting way better with documentaries in that sense. It was good.
Okay.
And it's not the last scene, but it's in the last episode. Let me know after you see that, because when the song "Eye of the Tiger" starts playing, it's probably one of my favorite things I've ever seen. And there's no way that you won't appreciate it. It's good. You'll like it.
Okay. I'm a little scared now. But
those are my recommendations, Marcus.
Okay. They will. I don't know if they're going to happen immediately, but they will happen at some point in the next couple months.
Well, hopefully.
They will.
Just let me know when you get to
them. I'll make it happen.
I'll try to get to your recommendations as well. For now, we've been going for over an hour now. So you want to call it quits on this?
Yeah, sure. I gotta be up at 4 a.m. So.
Oh yeah, now it's actually about the time you wanted to get off anyway, almost like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's getting there. I wanna get a glass of water and start heading to bed.
All right. It looks super sunny out there still, but good luck with that.
It's just the camera's crummy. It's actually getting dark outside.
All right.
It's not dark, but
dark enough.
In that direction.
All right. Well, nice talking to you again. Probably do this whenever you want to do it again. You're my main and only guest currently, so.
Are you recording stuff by yourself as well, or
not for a podcast? Yeah, I can't really. I feel like I haven't thought of anything to do it with. I might try. I talked to my brother. He might come do them with me, but it's hard getting him to get his body off the bed and off of the video games. So if he's not working,
you go and you take away the source of the video games. You throw his bed out the window.
That's
you take away the things that he would do.
He's like all the way over there. Then I have to walk upstairs and do that. I'm lazy.
You hire movers. Okay. You call and you hire movers to go.
I'll give him a tip after I move my stuff to Dallas to throw my brother's stuff out. And I'm like, come to my podcast. He's like, but you're in Dallas.
You're like, buy a plane ticket. I don't care.
Yeah. I'll try to figure it out.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Have a good one.
You too.